Meanwhile, Ukraine has launched several large-scale attacks on Russia. 8 regions have reported drone strikes. Those Ukrainian attacks hit an apartment block in the city of Oryol in western Russia. 3 floors of the building caught fire. And another fire broke out at an oil depot in the city of Rybinsk, north of Moscow. Massive plumes of smoke from the facility have led to traffic restrictions in the area. All right, Marina Miron is a military analyst at the Defence Studies Department at King's College London. She joins us from Munich. Thank you so much for your time. Ukraine appears to have shifted its strategy over the past wee while. Now we are seeing drone strikes going farther into Russia. And to me, an outsider, it seems a more deliberate attempt, not just to defend its position, but also weaken Russia's. Is that right? And is it working?
Well, what we have to understand is that Ukraine adopted what a U.S. military theorist, JC Wylie, called a cumulative strategy. So what Ukraine is doing is essentially attacking the rear, attacking logistics, attacking fuel storages. And the idea is not that one single strike would cause any sort of disruption, but that the cumulative effect of the strikes would indeed create problems for the Russian war economy. And so when we're looking at the overall picture, I don't see the huge impact on the economy per se. However, what these strikes are doing in the informational domain, of course, they're creating a lot of pressure on the Kremlin because there is a push to respond to these strikes. And of course, for the general staff, because now a lot of facilities that have been struck, maybe the damage hasn't been that much, but the whole idea is that those facilities have not been sufficiently protected, is creating issues. So the main thought here is that the general staff will have to reallocate resources in order to protect these facilities from drones, because their defenses in Russia are designed to protect against ballistic missiles and bomber planes, but not against drones. And so there has to be a level of adaptation, and that takes time, that requires resources, and resources which might be needed elsewhere. And again, disruption of logistics might have an effect on the battlefield directly, as we have seen with the Novorossiya route and the logistics interdiction campaign that Ukraine has been doing. How this will play out and how quickly the situation will be taken control of remains to be seen. However, when we're talking about Russia proper, it's much more difficult because the territory is very vast.
Yeah, and so they attract headlines, these attacks, but you've just talked a little bit about their effectiveness in actually affecting Russia's war machine. Who is the messaging for in these attacks? Is it at the Russian people so that they can see a weakness? Is it at the Kremlin, or is it at an international audience?
I would think that the message goes to many audiences. There is a primary audience and a secondary audience. Of course, some of the primary audiences, and given the fact that these strikes are conducted in conjunction with Ukrainian security services, it basically shows that the Russian security services are failing in their task to protect the homeland. It is a message to the Russian people as well, kind of bringing the war to the Russians. And while not creating a lot of damage, this is creating a lot of annoyances, especially when there are internet shutdowns and things like that. So there is hopes that this pressure will build up. But then we also have the Ukrainian audience. Given the fact that the Ukrainian armed forces are still in quite a difficult situation on the battlefield, especially around the Konstantinivka sector, it is important for the Ukrainian side to demonstrate that there is still this capability. And lastly, but not least, for the international audience, because Ukraine has lost some of the support that it's had, most notably from the United States. So it is very important, especially before the summit in Ankara in July, to show Ukrainian resilience and Ukrainian capabilities, that despite the fact that Western countries refuse to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles such as Taurus, the Ukrainian side has found some way around it by trying to ramp up its own production of missiles such as Flamingo, as well as long-range drones capable of reaching Russia's rear.
Right. Can I ask you quickly before we go, Marina, can we talk about the shadow tanker seized by the UK? I'm wondering if this is a sign Europe is going to step up its efforts to punish Russia for its invasion.
Well, it is a dramatic shift in the UK policy specifically because Sir Keir Starmer has talked about monitoring first of the shadow fleet. And this is the first instance where the Royal Marines actually boarded the ship. So it will be interesting to see whether other countries, other European countries follow suit, or whether this will be a single incident. And of course, we will also have to see what reaction, the reaction might be predictable from the Russian side. Of course, diplomatically, there will be a reaction, most notably denouncing the fact that this is illegal and saying that it's violating the freedom of navigation. But how this will play out, what kind of response the Russians will give to this interdiction remains to be seen. And I think it might determine the further course of action. But generally speaking, yes, it is stepping up. It's a new level from what we have previously seen, because so far only the United States has done so. Now Britain is joining its ranks, and it remains to be seen whether Europeans will want to also use military force for interdiction and how Russia will respond. So I see it as a next ladder of escalation between Russia and the European NATO members.
All right. Thank you very much. Marina Miron, military analyst, joining us from Munich.